Hi friends, this is Caitlin and I'm so excited to share with you it's Sweet November Stamp Spring 22 release day! And we have a giveaway today, but we'll get to that more later. So first I want to show you all of the sets. So this is Flutterbee Tulia. She is so beautiful with those braids and those butterflies. And then we have Flutterbee Skye. This is one of the stamps I'll be using today. She is so full of joy. I love her. And then we have the Pond Scene Builder, which has this pond and a waterfall and all kinds of little additions to fill out your scene. And then we have the I Believe in You unicorns. These are absolutely beautiful. They're a much more elegant style unicorn than a lot of the ones I've seen recently, so I love that. Then we have the Forest Abode, which is this great treehouse, and it's a mirror image, so you get two sizes and two different looks, even though they would definitely go together really well. Then we have the Spring Fairies, which are these 3 seated fairies, and they are absolutely stunning. And they're a great size that they can be used by themselves or be added into a scene, whatever makes you happy. And then the last set is this big guy. This is Sweet Easter, and this is amazing for Easter cards, but I also love that you could just do this as a general purpose spring or even summer card, and that the little basket can be filled with eggs or flowers. I love the little critters in these, especially those little ducks. They're absolutely adorable, and I love this whole set. So you see here I have the whole set. I'll be splitting them out, but I will be giving away in this video the 2 stamp sets that I'm using today, which is the Pond Scene Builder and the Flutterbee Skye. But I'll tell you a little bit more about that in just a second. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please hit the subscribe button below so you can come hang out with us every Friday for some crafty inspiration. So I'm going to be making a card, as I said, using that Flutterbee Skye and the Pond Scene Builder. I just thought she looked so happy and like she's just leaping and dancing her way through this scene, and so I really wanted to make her be the feature. And I have been absolutely loving flat shaker cards recently, but I hadn't been able to make one with glitter yet instead of sequins inside, and I thought this would be the perfect time to try that out. So I am stamping all of my images today in an alcohol friendly ink. Yeah, that. So that I can do Copic Coloring and fill in my scene. I also wanted to show you how I store these smaller sets. I put 4 usually in one standard size sleeve, so I can have 2 facing each direction side by side like that. And I just use a little bit of tape runner on the back of the plastic where you would normally peel that part off. I adhere that to the paper backer, and then I just, when you're done stamping, you just put the front piece with the illustrations right on top and you're good to go. So I am also going to be doing a lot of masking to build up my scene. So I started out by placing my pond where I wanted it to be, and then lined up my waterfall so I knew I would have room for everything, and then picked up my waterfall with my MISTI door, and now I'm going in with my post-it notes. And these are the full stick post-it notes, and I'm just doing some fussy cutting around them so that way I can do some ink blending and my stamping, and I won't have to worry about anything kind of getting in the way. For this pond and waterfall, I like doing the waterfall first, so that way those rocks cover up some of the rocks that are in the pond, but you could definitely play around with this however you want, and you could use the pond and the waterfall separate if you wanted to. They definitely don't have to be used together, but I think for this scene it just really added some great height to the background and was a really nice way to fill in everything more from the middle to the upper part of the card, since my glitter was going to be taking up so much room at the bottom of my card. I did work in a little of the extra pond scene accessories, a couple flowers and those rocks, but once everything was kind of filled in, they definitely aren't the stars of the show, but that's okay. I just think some little extra details here and there are always fun to add into your scene, and it really helps to kind of round out everything together. So I also placed an extra piece of just regular post-it note that was left over onto the side there to create my horizon line, and I'm going in with a distress ink in the shaded Lilac on a blending brush, and then I'm going in with Tumbled glass just to create a really pretty and soft sky. This is something you can definitely do if you are like me, and sometimes skies can be a little bit intimidating. I knew I wanted all of my focus to really be on my little Flutterbee, and so I thought that ink blending the sky would be a nice way for me to save time and not have to worry about extra detail that was really going to be covered up, and I didn't want to steal any attention away anyway. So now we're going to be starting on my Copic Coloring, and I'm going in with my W5 warm gray markers to shade in these stones. I will have all of the Copic colors that I used today, as well as all of the supplies from today, listed in that description box below for you. But I want to tell you a little bit more about this giveaway. So it is super easy to enter. To win this little Flutterbee Skye and the Pond Scene Builder set. So today is Saturday, March 5th, and this giveaway is going to run until Monday, March 7th, 2022 at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that's when I'll close it, and it will be a randomly generated winner based on if you are subscribed to this channel, you like the video, and you leave me a comment about which set is your favorite set from the release. That's it. That's all that it takes. So I will have all of those guidelines or rules listed in the description box below for you too. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. If you ask a question, I'll go ahead and count that as an entry as far as you leaving a comment too. But yeah, so definitely let me know what your favorite is. I love all of these. I think this is such a great release. I'm so excited. But back to the card, because I am busy making some really pretty water there. All I did was take some very soft blues and kind of created more shadows towards the rocks and kind of those sweeping horizontal motions to create kind of ripples through the water. And then I went in with some darker BG markers to start creating the grass and the ground for this. I do like when some of my streaks come from off of the page, even though I'm going to be trimming this down. So I did place a piece of just regular printer paper under my card base so that I could go in and go off of the edge and not have to worry about getting ink all over my desk. So again, I'm creating those same kind of almost like ripples that were in the water, but in the grass, going from side to side, and trying to make sure that I'm letting up on my pressure as I'm getting to the edges of my stripes. So that way you kind of get that tapered edge that looks a little bit more natural. For my little Flutterbee, I decided to go in with kind of my go-to Caucasian skin tone, going in with my E41st just to add in some shadows. So I made sure to add a lot of shadow around her hairline because her hair is doing that really fun flippy kind of motion, and then just adding them anywhere else. I personally like to give my Flutterbees and my Wees a little hint of a nose. So I always add in that little extra line in between the eyes, but you definitely don't have to. Everybody kind of takes their own style with these, which is one of the reasons I love them so much, is because you can customize them and really make them your own. So I definitely like to keep a brighter highlight on that nose and the upper cheek area too, especially with this one because she has those really expressive eye kind of cheek marks already where you can tell she's really smiling and just so joyful. So I decided to tie in the Skye colors that I use by going in with some my B66 and some of my BV markers to really play up this kind of lilac, not lilac-y, like a periwinkle kind of color for her dress. I just think this is so pretty, and I know normally when I think of spring I think of brighter like pastels, but more bright and vibrant, and this is a little more on the neutral or mellow side, but I still just think this is so pretty and I love this combination. And there is definitely a time and a place for some more mellow colored spring cards, right? There's no wrong answer when it comes to Copic coloring, and that is absolutely something I love about Copics. So I gave her some really pretty blue eyes, and then I decided that I wanted to make her blonde, but I wanted to make it more of a neutral blonde, not super yellowy. So I went in with my E40 markers to do this, and you can see I'm kind of just working with very short little strokes and trying to leave a lot of highlight. And I find for myself that if I go back in with my darker marker at the end, to re-emphasize the shadows, it creates a lot more contrast and really helps to bump up those highlights without me having to worry about leaving as much white space. But it is definitely something that I'm still practicing. So if you're struggling with that too, or you just feel like that's somewhere that you could improve, please know that you are not alone. We all have things that we want to improve on, and all we can do is practice and try. So I also always love adding an extra little white highlight to the eyes of my images with a white gel pen. And then I did fussy cut this out, and I want to be very transparent that this is literally at 800%. Like, I sped this up 8 times. So do not think that I am a master at fussy cutting, because I am very far from it. So I also edged my Flutterbee and the butterfly in a black water-based marker so that it didn't bleed, just so that it kind of hides any areas that you might not have been the best at if you're fussy cutting. It helps to hide any of those little white edges. And then I trimmed down my scene, because this is the part that we are going to be making the shaker. But first I wanted to add a sentiment. So I actually pulled the sentiment from the unicorn. That's not true. I think it's from the Fairies. It says, "May your day be filled with magic." But I absolutely love the font on that. And I thought doing it in a darker purple would help it to still be very legible, but not just be black. It would just be something fun and a little bit different. So I trimmed down this purple gingham that matched my color story really well, and made a side folding A2 size card base. So I'm scoring that and then attaching my gingham background down first with just some tape runner. And then it is time to start making our flat shaker. And I absolutely love this. And I think that part of the reason I love it is because it feels like I'm recycling. Like I'm doing a good thing by doing this. Like I should have to make shakers just so that I can use up my packaging and it doesn't end up in a landfill. Right? I'm doing a good thing for the world by making more cards and more shakers. That's what I'm telling myself. So I trimmed down my packaging so it's just a little bit bigger than my card panel, and I'm just going one side at a time, laying down a strip of my double-sided tape or tape runner, and then folding the plastic over and really making sure that it's stuck down well. And then I just trim off any of the extra plastic that's kind of created on those flaps on the corners. And the trick is that you do 3 sides first, and then it doesn't matter if it's the top or the bottom. I just usually leave the top open, and then you shake in your sequins or your glitter. So I'm using some Nuvo Glitter and some cosmetic glitter that I had left over from a makeup kit that I bought, and I was always too scared to put that glitter on somebody's eyes. So I'm just kind of making my own mix, and I'm doing so over a piece of printer paper so I can kind of wrap everything up and throw that away. So then you seal up that final side, make sure that everything is pressed down nice and tight with that glue. And then I ran some extra tape runner over the back, and we're going to adhere that straight on to our card. So I just think this is such a fun and quick way to take your creation and push it to the next level. And who doesn't love contained glitter, right? You can send a glittery card to someone, and in theory, it's not going to get everywhere for them. It's so nice of you to do that if that's what you want to do. So maybe if it's somebody you don't love, you poke a hole in the bottom. I didn't say that. I'm not recommending that. So I went in with glossy accents to use as my glue, just because I find that it sticks to that shiny plastic really well. And then I'll be going in with some foam tape pieces cut up really small, just to help make sure that the hair and her foot are kind of supported where they hang off over the edge. And that is our whole shaker. I am so grateful for you coming to hang out with me today. Don't forget to enter to win that giveaway before Monday, March 7th at 5 p.m. Eastern. And I hope that you're feeling super inspired. Like I said, I'm so grateful for you being here. Thank you for subscribing if you did. And I hope that you have an amazing week. And as always, happy crafting.